Hi, I'm Emily Taylor with Collage Quilter. This is, how many weeks now have I been? 6 weeks? Oh, I have a lot more to do still, but it's coming along, the alphabet quilt, and the baby's almost here. Amelia had an appointment today. Everything looks good. So anyway, yeah, I'm just going to keep plugging along. Let me share with you what I've done this week. My new favorite block. R is for radishes. I love it. I just love the colors of this one. So the other thing that I've been doing is this quilt as you go method. So I really love to quilt a small project on my Bernina Q16 sit down long arm machine. And last week I showed you how I quilt these little works of art. And this week I'm going to show you how I put them together. Now listen, I am not an expert at quilt as you go, but I've been fussing around with this and I really like this method. So let me just kind of dive in right now and tell you what I've been doing. So I will take my 14.5-inch square. This is the unfinished size, and match it up with a piece backing. And I want to make sure that the batting that's between the top and the back is 1 inch smaller than the square. Okay, so 13.5 inches is the size of the batting. And then I quilt it. Now what I'm going to do is take this block over there and I'm going to trim the back up so that it matches the front. Okay, so let's go do that. All right, folks, so I want to show you, I just trimmed this up. Now remember, we started out with a 14.5-inch square, and I quilt the heck out of things because I like to, and it serves the purpose of tacking everything down. But of course, all that quilting then kind of tends to shrink my block a little bit. So this block is about 14 inches and a quarter now, but you can see that I trimmed it up at 14 and a quarter, and we've got this kind of funky. Now I don't know if this is, there's something uneven here, and I think what happened is that the block got a little bit warped with the quilting. So I didn't cut that off. I will cut it off, but I wanted to just show you that that's what happened. So it really doesn't matter because I will be folding it back anyway. But the most important thing is, the most important thing is that I get the letters in the right order. So Q, R. So now what I'm going to do, I've already done with this with the quail. So let me show you. So because I stopped my quilting at a 1/2 inch from the edge, I've pressed this back. Okay. So, and I'm going to do that same thing with the radish. So it's going to go like this, and I'm going to press this edge back just to get it out of the way so that I can stitch along the seam line. There, that's out of the way now. So I'm going to now make sure, let me just show you, I'm going to pin along this edge right here. So I've got the blocks facing each other, and this section here is where the seam is going to be. Okay, so let me pin that, and then I will take it over to my machine, and I'll meet you over there. All right, so I've got this at my machine. I have a walking foot, and I recommend using a walking foot when you are working on anything that's a quilt. Obviously, our batting is inside, so we're not going over the batting, but this edge, this foot, it is a little bit. So anyway, a walking foot is just always a safe bet. So my seam allowance is 3/8 of an inch. And that is just under a 1/2 inch. And if you remember, a 1/2 inch is where we stopped the quilting. So 3/8 of an inch gives us just a little bit of ease in the block. So I'm going to just stitch along this seam, and hopefully this works out good because it's super, super simple to put the blocks together this way. I really, really like this method. And we will see how it goes when I go to put the rows together. It's lined up perfectly. Okay. Unfold it. Yeah, that turned out great. I love it. So you can see that there. That's the seam line right there is just beautiful. And on the back, what we'll do is we will, I think I'll trim this up, um, and then we will put sashing over the top of this so that and this is a good reason, a good way to show why it's important um, to make the background, the backing fabric, the same size as the front, because it's a little, I don't want this extra here. So what I'll do probably is just press that under. So let's take it over to the machine, press it, and then I'll meet you back at my regular station. All right, so I have, this is the back side, here's the seam. I want to talk to you about the sashing that I'm putting on. So I've decided I'm using sashing that is 1 1/8 inch. So these pieces have been cut at 2 1/4 by the height of the block, which is 14 1/2. So just do that for each one. And then you can use a sashing tool, like, you know, Clover makes them. There's this sasher one. I just press, so you'll press the raw edges inside so that when we lay it down here, it creates a nice enclosed seam. It hides all of that. Then the next thing that I've done is just make sure that the sashing in the back is right in the middle of the 2 blocks. So, and then mark it. So I just put these clips on to remind me that I need to stop the stitching a 1/2 inch from the edge. And same thing down here. Make sure that I get the sashing right in the middle of where the seam is. And then you can also put some pins in just to secure it until I get it over to my machine and start stitching. So my stitching will go just right along the edge of the sashing. So see how nice and tidy that is? And then let's flip this over so that you can see the front. And for example, that's the stitching on the front. So that's how I've joined this row so far. See that? Looks really nice. So I'll go get this done. I'll be right back. Okay, I've done my first row. I'm so excited. This is coming right along. So just as a reminder, this pattern is not available in its entirety quite yet because I'm still working on it. But when it is available, you'll be able to get it at collagequilter.com. Until then, we do have the O, P, and Q patterns available as downloads on my website. So I hope you're enjoying this series, and I hope we can keep going because Amelia's just about to have the baby very soon. So anyway, we'll see you next week. Wish us luck getting this thing done. See you soon.